What's up, guys? We're going to do a video, walk you around the shop and show you what tools we use, do a slight rundown on most everything we have that we use, who it's supplied by, and whatnot like that. So let's do a shop tour.
Shop tour it is. Here we go.
We'll start out with, torches. What the hell? We are very big into GTT. We love GTT. They're probably, in our opinion, like one of the finest torches that you can buy. We've ran Nortel. I've played on a Carlisle, and we've seen a handful of other torches, and just, I don't know. GTT is where it's at. Unless you can afford a Herbie, then I would probably use a Herbie. Never used one personally, but here we go with the GTT. This is the Yellow Jacket. I love this torch. The only problem with it that I have is if I want to do something kind of quick, because it has the 3 knobs, it tends to be a bit more difficult to use if you just want to grab it, do something real quick, and then put it back. But if you're using it for a little bit, usually I'll just turn it on and set it off to the side of the bench, and then I don't have to screw with the 3rd knob or anything. Really, really, really awesome hand torch. The variation between all of the flames that you can do with it and everything, pretty much just like a regular GTT.
And that's the Yellow Jacket, right?
And that's the Yellow Jacket,
GTT,
I believe.
that's a hand torch.
Hand torch.
That Jason uses.
That is mine. And then Janelle uses the little smithy with the blast shield head. I think it's called the Hornet or the Wasp. I don't remember. I always get them confused. But it's from Blast Shield. And we got the little smithy off of eBay. I think we paid like maybe $30 for it or something like that. But that's that. Bunsen Burner from Blast Shield. We get a lot of things from Blast Shield because they are really, really good quality. And then over to the wife's torch, she runs Lynx, and it's just standard Lynx. And then I run a Phantom. I run a 4-stud Phantom, and I have a foot pedal connected to it as well. I also have the Blast Shield Marver with the removable blast shield. Gotta love that. The Blast Shield, it's a Jeff Rogers foot pedal, and it's produced by Blast Shield. This is the analog. There was some issues with it, and I don't believe they make it anymore. I had to return my first one because it didn't quite function right. The oxygen had issues, and now about a year into having this one, I'm having a little bit of issues with the oxygen. Like I said, they don't carry it anymore, and it's in the solenoid or some crap like that. I gotta just get a new valve for it. It's not that big of a deal, I guess.
What is the foot pedal for?
That turns on and off my outer flame. Being a Phantom, I have an inner flame, which is a Lynx, and then the outer flame, which is the Phantom.
So you have my inner torch.
I have her inner torch, and then I have an extra flame on the outside.
Yeah.
I usually use that whenever I'm busted out on bigger stuff.
So like bigger rigs and bigger hollow.
Fatter hollow work, or whenever I'm pulling out giant cane or anything like that, that's whenever I'll rock that outer flame.
So my torch would be good for figures and smaller hollow work, smaller hand pieces, hand pipes, smaller marbles. And Jason's he can go a lot bigger than I can.
Just a little bit more versatility. We'll go on to marble molds.
Oh, and what's the Bunsen burner for?
The Bunsen burner is just to keep things warm. If you're working on something large and you don't want to have to keep popping in and out of the kiln, you can just go to the Bunsen, give whatever you're working on a good quick warm up, and then you can just keep going. It just saves you a step from having to sit in the kiln and wait for a little bit. If you're just certain things you don't want to have to stop, and you don't want to have to put it in the kiln and warm it up. There you can do your fine work on your torch and then pop it in there real quick and give everything a good warm up and go back to working on whatever you're doing.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure that's it on torches.
Yeah, so we have the Bunsen burner, we have the 2 hand torches, and we have our 2 main torches. One smaller one for me and one bigger one for Jason.
Okay, now marble molds. Both of these 2 are from the Blast Shield. And then this one is from Mike. I don't know. Close. And this one is super great for getting everything into shape and where it needs to be. And then these are good just for cleaning up and making sure that everything is really crisp all the way around. And then it's cool because you could do little tops in these or vortexes.
This one goes straight down like a cone. The rest are
just rounded
out.
And then just depending on what you're doing, this one does in 1/4 inch increments, I believe. Except for whenever you get to the larger 2, and I believe this is a 2 inch.
And that's our marble molds that we use.
And they get used a lot. Bench roller. Bench roller I use for anything that I'm doing that's heavy. And this is fully adjustable yoke, so you can make it whatever size you want. And then just drop your rod in there, and it's just really nice for rolling. Things get so heavy sometimes. And this comes from Blast Shield. Highly recommended.
For both hollow and solid work.
It doesn't matter. It helps to keep things straight. Janelle and I both use impressioning tools for putting any kind of texture or whatever into the glass.
And those are just leather stamping tools. You can get them at Tandy Leather Company, or I found these somewhere online.
Don't buy the super cheap ones because they're not stainless steel. They're only kind of steel on the outside, and if you use them and get them too hot, they will melt.
Yes.
So buy the good stuff. Reamers. And we've got reamers from the Blast Shield. We've got reamers from Firebug J. Good dude. Highly recommend him. Go check out his stuff, Firebug J Tools. We use,
and the reamers that we're looking at right now are all graphite.
those ones are graphite, and then we have
brass.
A brass from Griffin Glass. Bowl pushes. Or no, I'm sorry. These are ground joint, female, 14 millimeter and 10 millimeter, both from Griffin. Just standard round reamers. You can usually buy these by the pack. They come in a pack. I think there's 5 of them. We don't have them all here.
No.
Those come from Mountain. Those are pretty easy to get a hold of. Shears, straight and diamond. Diamonds are for necking things down. Squeezes it down, and then cuts it off. And
when it's hot and or molten.
And then these are just regular straight cut shears.
For cutting molten glass as well.
And I like the short nose because you can get in there and just do fine little detail cuts, or it works really good for cutting tubing that's not straight, or pretty much whatever. They're cheaper shears. They're lower end in the market. I think they were like in the $35-$40 range, but they work.
They serve their purpose. So there are definitely better ones out there, but we use these ones
because they work and they're cheap. this is called a frog. It's an impressioning tool where you get the glass molten hot and then you press it on here and it'll put in whatever pattern. You can take it out and put in pins or take pins out, so you can change the pattern or do whatever with it.
And that's for making the bubble tip anemones that you see, the marbles, the bubble tip marbles.
This is such a good tool to have. It saves you so so much time, so you don't have to sit there with our next tool, the Tungsten Pick, and poke every one of those. This is tungsten right here, and wood shaft.
I think we use that
Wood handle. My bad.
probably more than any other tool.
We use it a lot, a lot.
All right.
Mashers.
We don't
Basic.
use a whole lot of mashers, actually. I think those are the only ones we do have, right?
It's the only set we have, and no, they don't get used too very often.
I
and
use them to mash ears mostly. That's about it.
I don't think I ever used them really. I don't think I ever used those. This is one of my favorite reamers. This is from Blast Shield, and it's called the Darby Reamer. I love it because it's got the little paddle here and it's a reamer built in. Love it. Highly recommend it.
What would you use that for?
Reaming, just opening up glass, and then whenever I'm doing, whenever I'm opening up a big piece of glass, like whenever I have a piece of 40 mil and I'm getting ready to put on a top for Puffco or whatever, I'll just blow a small hole in the 40 mil and then I'll slowly run it up on this, and then as I get to the end of this Darby Reamer, this helps make sure that everything is nice and round and flat on that end, so whenever I go to connect up, everything is already all just bam, ready to go.
Right.
Another reason that I really love this. Big old Paddy masher, Blast Shield.
And that's for
smashing glass. It's a masher. That's what it is. Handheld paddle. I think it's a 4-inch.
For
marvering, and I use it a lot for actually to come right up here against my Blast Shield like that, and I use it for boxing things off a lot. I don't really use it for anything other than that.
I've never used that tool. I don't use very many of these. I mostly use that Tungsten Pick and the shears. I do use the bull push every now and again.
Bull push, and it's from Blast Shield, and I got the kind with the tungsten pick in the middle. It just makes it a lot easier whenever you go to push your bowl, because you can put that right in the center of your bowl. Everything kind of stays aligned. Call me lazy, but yeah, that's one of my favorites. Eye protection. There's lots of different eye protection out there. My best advice to you is buy whatever is best for your needs, because there's darker shades, there's lighter shades. Some is used for bead making, some is used for boro, some is used for quartz. Some people like a dark shield, some people like a light shield. My wife uses a number 2 or a number 3. Hers are really dark, and I just use these are for IR and UV. So
Do you know who made those ones?
these ones are whale.
Whale apparatus.
Yeah, these are whale apparatus, and I think I paid like $100 and some bucks for them. They're on the cheaper end, but I've had them for over a year. They work. I'm not gonna bitch. They're not very scratched up at all. I'm pretty happy with those. Knives. Everybody has their own style of knife. That's my knife that I use. That's the knife that my wife uses. Another one of my knives that I use. People use butter knives. Everybody, I don't know. Most all lamp workers use a knife, and that are mainly for sculpting. She uses hers a lot for sculpting. I use mine a lot for straightening lines and moving glass around. However, I sculpt a little bit too, so I'll use them for sculpting. Everybody has their own particular knives that they like, so do depends on what you're looking for, I guess. Simple little shit like earplugs. Gotta have those. You use those to close off your blow tubes. And you roll that up, stick it in there, and then whenever you've got any kind of heat going into the blow tube, then it's not coming out here and making everything super hot so you can't touch it. Or you just have to plug it so that you can make pressure into whatever you're blowing into from another blow tube as well. Gotta have earplugs. Blow tubes. I use a blow tube.
I don't do a whole lot of hollow work, so a lot of these tools are mostly for Jason for hollow work. I didn't realize that till we just started doing this
9.5
video.
And 14 mil or 12 mil, my bad, because those are the both sides of blow tubes that I use. Some people use a blow tube, some people don't. I like to use a blow tube.
And that's just so you don't have to take that blow tube up to your mouth. You can still have it out and working.
I hate being like this and working on something and then having to make this transition like this to blow into it. I prefer just to be able to stay here like a lathe and be able to puff in and make my inward movements or outward movements or whatever I'm doing, if I'm marine or whatever.
And if that line is there, you don't have to move that up.
I'm not good at making that transition to the mouth. I always wonk everything off a little bit. So I just use that.
All right.
Claw grabbers. There's lots of different kinds. We just buy cheap ass claw grabbers because that's what we need. If I was doing goblets and stuff like that, then we'd step up to the plate and spend like $300 or $400 on claw grabbers, but we don't really need them. Little ones for little marbles. Bigger ones, this are inside out, and then these are a standard claw grabber. Just your basic claw grabbers, you use those so that you don't burn the shit out of your hands whenever the glass is hot.
And I can't use them.
Make sure the glass isn't too hot whenever you grab your marbles because you'll put little indentions in them.
Yeah.
Tweezers. Always using them because these are like fingers because you can't use your fingers. These are the ones that my wife uses for sculpting a lot. They're sharpened and tipped. These are like her special tweezers. Nobody's allowed to use them.
Those are my only tool that I use probably every time I turn my torch on. So
big tweezers, little tweezers, tweezers with spots. You just need tweezers. Calipers. I use these all the time in my shop, whether I'm measuring for the right size bubble cap or I'm setting up to make a Puffco peak attachment or a Carta attachment. You have to know proper sizes whenever you're doing things that have to fit in that manner. You have to. If it's not precision, then it's not going to fit right, and then it's not going to work proper. So yeah, we've got the good old calipers.
And I think we got those at our local surplus store, and we didn't pay very much for them.
They were like $15, and these have been pretty good.
We use them every day.
We use these every day. Every day I use these. Jaws. These are for cutting the ends off of blow tubes or anything like that. You just score with it like that. Bam.
Cutting, and you could cut solid with it too.
You can do solid with it. I can't recommend these tools enough. I love them.
They make life easy.
They make life easy. Tile cutters. Again, these are just a glass cutter. You can get these from pretty much anywhere. Harbor Freight, whatever. Those are pretty basic. I use nippers all the time to cut my glass. Alcohol. We use alcohol all the time. That's what we use to clean all of our glass.
And we need clean glass so that we don't get bubbles or
scuzz marks,
or so that the glass looks clean.
So that the glass stays clean. Pyrometer. We use that from time to time just to make sure that things are at the proper temperature for striking, or just It's just used sometimes. I don't use it a whole lot, but it's good to have one around.
Sometimes the glass has to be at a certain, like certain colors have to be at a certain temperature in order for them to work right. So that helps with that.
And our kiln. We have a Paragon F120. And that hooks up just to a regular 110 outlet. That's why we have it. Paragon is pretty much the only kiln that we've ever owned because we've always been really happy with them. With this one, we've had to replace 2 relays in it, and that usually happens unless you have the mercury relays. But the minute that I called Paragon, they took care of it like right away, and they pretty much overnighted our stuff and took care of us immediately. So,
and this is big enough for both of us to work in on our daily sessions. It gives us enough room for hollow work that Jason's working on and smaller items that I'm working on.
Inside dimensions of the firebox is it's 11 deep by 7 1/4 high by 10 3/4 wide. I have never ran into a situation where I didn't have enough room in this kiln whenever I was building a rig. Not like I'm a giant sculptor or anything like that, but I just have never ran out of room in this kiln.
Yeah.
I think the most I've ever had in it was like 175 nectar collectors, 20 some pipes, and then we had marbles and some other little figures and shit in there. It was pretty packed, but we still had room to throw more shit in if we needed to.
And it works great.
It works really good.
Great.
It's a workhorse, and it doesn't cost too much on the electricity. It's pretty ginger.
Well, yeah, if we're not working it every day like we were.
Yeah.
Now it's definitely dropped a lot since we've dropped our production time.
If we're using it constantly and we're running a 12+ hour day for the whole month, I would probably say it might use 75
to 150
$75 to $100 probably around in there for that.
for just the kiln to run.
Hoses for your torches, guys. I just recommend buying hoses from anywhere. It's
And
gas
we have
and oxygen.
hoses running from all of our torches. So our hand torches, our Bunsen burner, and both of our major torches, and then also to Jason's foot pedal.
We're running off of 2 separate regulators for each of us. She has her own. This is her regulator for hers, and this one is for mine. I run the Bunsen burner. I run my torch. I run her hand torch and my torch off of my line. And I don't never have any fluctuations because I have a little bit better of a regulator than she does. This one's a Harbor Freight regulator, and this one I got from our local glass shop. Neither of them are very good regulators, but they get the job done. The more expensive of a regulator you can buy, the better
Pressure you're gonna get.
gonna get, and the longer they're gonna last. And we just run off of the little 5-gallon barbecue tanks. We go through maybe 3 a week if we're raging like mad. But like right now, we'll both be on our own individual tank for about a week. It lasts us. Moving to the outside, we run liquid oxygen, guys. There is nothing better unless you have a home fill system. It lasts for so long. A full tank usually lasts us a whole month, and we work a lot. We work a lot. And
Well, not right now.
Well, not right
Usually.
now, but usually. And a tank lasts us a month if we're raging or not. Usually a tank just lasts a month because if you're not using it properly, then it's bleeding off. Standard regulators out here. I've got the T set up in between 2 so we can run 2 off of the one tank. definitely liquid oxygen, guys.
And I'm going to put pricing and like a shopping list for everything that we have and what we use in the description for you guys. So we're just going over what we use in our whole shop.
And what our shop is. And I believe that was pretty much about everything. Oh,
and
ventilation. We'll go over ventilation real quick too. I just have a little deflection hood to try and keep all the fumes up in there. And I'm running an inline 6-inch vent fan. And we just, that does low, medium, and high. I don't remember how many CFM it is right offhand. We just cracked the shop door that I was outside and turn that bad boy on, and we don't usually ever have any issues in here. The only time we ever do is if we have like sick crazy winds going on, and then we just shut down the shop because it's not very pleasant to try and blow glass whenever it's all dusty and shitty anyway. So that's the shop rundown, guys. Everything that we mentioned tool-wise is we have it in our shop because we like it and we use it. Whenever we were making glass before, we went through the game of buying shit that we didn't need and buying not good stuff. And so this time we knew what we liked, so we bought the good shit and the stuff that we knew we would definitely need.
And not everything we have is super expensive, but it's just what we've grown accustomed to using. So it works for us. And what works for us may not work for other people in the lamp work world, but this is what we use.
We started out with 2 sticks and a rock and like a little fire to make glass on. So
we started out on hot heads.
We started out with hot heads, and
this is a definite step up for us. And we're not experts, and we're not trying to be experts. We're just trying to share what works for us.
I suck.
After 7-8 years of making glass, we sure do try hard. We will be doing more videos like this. Jason's going to go over the tools he uses, and what he likes, what he dislikes, how to use them. And
talk about lapidary and all that. There's a lot to talk about. All the different tools that we use, and
we're going to go over our glass, what glass we use.
Where we buy glass from.
Yep. And I'll put a description, and it'll be a long list for you guys to look over in this video. But if there's anything you want to see from our videos, just let us know.
Or if you have any questions, always hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Instagram is where you can hit me up easiest, and Facebook is where you can get a hold of her the easiest.
Yep.
Anything you need to know that we can help out with, we'd be more than glad to do so.
All right.
Peace.
Bye, guys.